Good morning, parents everywhere, and welcome back to Parents Canada Talk Radio. I'm your host, Jason Thompson, with my co-host,
Lisa Durante.
We are super excited today. We are talking about parental leave, and it's something interesting to me because it's something I've never gotten the chance to experience because I've worked for myself for my entire career. So this is going to be really, really interesting for me to learn and be able to help other parents in the community. You know, today we're going to want to hear from you, and to do that, we're going to ask you, call us, find us on social media. So the number here at Saga 960 is 416-640-0200, and we're on social media. We're everywhere. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and that's at Parents Canada. And of course, you can also drop by to parentscanada.com to learn more about all of the great stuff that we're doing. But let's talk about our parenting week. You know, it's week 2 of summer, so we're getting the I'm bored. So I'm very curious. I learned so much from you whenever we come and hang out. So how are you dealing with the I'm boards?
Well, my kids are in summer camp, so their boredom is pretty tempered right now. But I do get the occasional I'm bored, and I just don't believe it's my job to entertain them. I put them in summer camp. I find that that's entertainment. I take them places, but they have to figure out when we're at home to do it themselves. But there was a couple of weeks ago, we were at swimming, and my daughter was just, she was just giving me a little bit of a trouble right before we got to the swimming lesson, and it was my older daughter who was in the swimming lesson that time, and so she was just giving me some trouble, and I said, well, you're not going to be able to watch your screen when we get there, and she was devastated. So she said, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to be so bored. I'm like, you can do whatever you want, but you can't watch the screen. And she chose to sit in a chair and stare at a clock for almost a full 2 hours.
Wait, really? Like literally sat there and looked at the clock?
Sat in the chair, and she was like grumpy, and she kept on saying, I'm bored. And I was there reading my book because I knew it was going to be a long practice. And so I sat there and just read, and I kept on saying, you have other stuff in your bag, figure it out. And she just chose to sit.
You are growing a master negotiator.
Yeah, she is.
Wow. Lawyer to be. That's going to be fantastic.
So, Jason, what do you do about boredom?
I just leave them to their own devices. Is that not the right way to go? If you're a parent, leave your kids to their own devices. Okay, you're not a bad parent, but I do put some pieces in place, right? So we have a little room in the house. It's a studio, essentially. Like a little tiny, it was an extra room on the first floor, and so I decided to fill it with art supplies. And I got to tell you, my favorite thing over the last couple of years has been slime. Really? Slime will keep my daughter busy for hours.
Slime is not allowed in my house.
Really?
No.
That's why we have the studio. It doesn't leave the studio. But it's been great because it gives her time. It helps her construct. She then, reaches out to the next level. Now she does use YouTube to find out, what are some of the, can you make smelly slime? Can you make, interesting texture slime and things like that? That's one. Squishies is another one that really came up. But I love that space because it does allow her to be who she wants to be. Meanwhile, this is actually a true story. When I built my house, I'm in a subdivision, so you buy from the builder. Yeah. So I actually spotted out the place for a couple months beforehand, and I knew where the park was going to go. So I pulled up, I slept in my car overnight, knowing I wanted to be in first in line so I could be as close to the park as possible. And it worked out. The police showed up at 2 o'clock in the morning wondering what I was doing there. And they're like, oh, you want to be first in line? I said, yeah, there's going to be tons of people. Nobody ended up showing up. It was just me. But I got the lot. And it's great because the park has been a fantastic thing. As all my kids have grown up, we've been there almost 10 years now. So watching them all go through the park has been a great, great delight. And now even my dog is, which I've only had for about a year now, he is enjoying the park as well. So it all works out. So that's, I think, a secondary way is to try and find I guess I can create environments for them to do stuff. I mentioned, I think, on last week's episode that I'm teaching my older son how to cook, and I get the kids to do projects around, like not just projects like, hey, here's an art project or something like that, but I will get them to help me out with more important things like carpet cleaning, like little stuff like that. I figure, why not engage these guys to help me out? It keeps them busy. And of course, yes, camps start for me later this week. We've got Hollows Camp. We've got all that sort of stuff. So ultimately, try and kind of piece a whole fabric together to make it a little bit different than the school year. I'm not in the city, so we don't have as many camp options as they have in the city, and also trying to engage them on their terms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have parks. Getting outdoors is a huge one. If it's, scooting, it's biking, whatever, they have a whole, outdoors. They have all, I usually go right at the beginning of the summer, right before school ends. I do a big shop at the dollar store, just getting every type of toy that they have, and I just put it out on the porch or in the garage, and they can just go out and figure it out.
This is a fantastic idea. I do this in the winter. I'm now going to do this in the spring.
Yeah, they have so much. The dollar store has amazing toys. It could be anything from skip ropes to hula hoops, and then just random stuff in between that just keeps them entertained. Like you could throw a ball and catch it on a fabric Velcro thing, and that's great. So anything, I always say, just go outside and figure it out. And then chores are a regular thing for my kids all through the year. They have to do chores because I'm a believer in you have to contribute to your community, and that for us, it's our home right now, and so it's a constant way to.
And it's funny you mention that because I have a hard dividing line between what I would consider chores, things that we should do together around the house to keep the house clean and things like that, but then this kind of above and beyond stuff that I would go out and pay to have someone do. The first power wash the weeds, taking the garbage out, doing the dishes, keeping the kitchen clean, keeping your rooms clean, and things like that. I totally say, that is part of what it means to be a family. Yeah. But if I need you to wax the floors or wash the floors and things like that, I'm willing to say, okay, I see that. And for me, it creates kind of an incentive culture, which is really what we have to deal with as parents as kids grow up anyway. They're looking for incentive and compensation and recognition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have, at 9 and 7, they started asking for money, and I'm like, not yet. So, but the payment is in privilege. Yeah, so they will earn some privileges. And it could be anything from going out for ice cream to having a pizza night to just so that they earn something rather than, because money at this point, in 9 to 7, maybe it's just my kids, it just doesn't mean anything to them.
That's interesting.
They still are at this, a couple months ago that they dropped our iPad and the screen broke. And they're like, it's okay, you can go and buy a new one. And I'm like, no. Like, not at all. And so they just don't have a concept of money. So it's in privilege, and those are the things that they value. So
that's interesting about that idea of value and money. And I tried to start early on with having them understand the consequences of dropping an iPad. They've all dropped every iPad that they have ever had in the history of time, and if they want to get it repaired, they have to work for it. So we actually create the environment for them to understand, listen, that's great that you dropped your iPad, that's okay, but if you want it to work, and you do, then you have to find a solution for that, and that solution is often, how can you contribute in the above and beyond way to the house?
Yeah. The whole earning and the value, that's a very big one for us, making sure that they understand that things just don't come to them, that people have to work for it.
I think you're giving us the perfect kind of segue into our day today, right, into what that looks like. So why don't you tell us about our topic today?
Yeah, so today we're talking to two moms who are both planning. One is planning her maternity leave, so that she's currently pregnant and is going on to leave. And so she has some questions, and so this is the field of work that I do. I'm a working parent consultant, and I work with moms and dads as well to plan their mat leave, but also or parental leave, as well as help them get back to work afterwards. So our second guest, she is currently on maternity leave, and she's looking to get back to work, and so she just has some questions around how can she do it with less stress. And so I'm very excited to speak with both of them, and hopefully that our conversation with each of those will resonate with our listeners so that they too can take some of those tips and move forward.
So when we come back, we're going to share some of those experiences with parental leave. We want to hear more about your experience. Again, as I said, this is an area that I'm a little bit outside as a parent to be able to understand. So I want to get a good, holistic view of this. So we want you to join the conversation for us. We're on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. We're at Parents Canada. You can also drop by parentscanada.com to see some great articles and insights into that. In the meantime, we'll be back after this. We are on Parents Canada Radio on News Talk Saga 960.
You're listening to News Talk Saga 960. Also streaming live on saga960am.ca. For 25 years, restaurants in the Pump Hospitality Group have been creating memories, bringing people together in a fun atmosphere through amazing food and hospitality. Whether looking for that great neighborhood restaurant and bar experience at the Pump and Patios in Erin Mills, Clarkson, or Burlington, or if you're looking for something a little more refined through the Pump House Grill or Papa Giuseppe's in Port Credit, Pump restaurants have something for everyone. Check out our restaurants at www.pumphospitalitygroup.com. Great food, great friends, great times.
Lake Ontario supplies drinking water to millions. It provides recreational enjoyment and habitat for wildlife, but its shoreline is under stress. Urbanization can impact shoreline habitat, but together we can ensure that growth is sustainable and balanced with environmental protection.
Credit Valley Conservation's goal is to raise awareness and to explore ways to work together to protect and restore the vulnerable Lake Ontario shoreline. Contribute to our future. Get involved today.
Calling all hockey fans. The Mississauga Steelheads are excited to announce a new and improved Flex Pack program for the 2019-20 season. With a minimum of 6 tickets purchased, you'll save on walk-up prices and receive benefits, including reserved seating and flexibility to choose games around your schedule. Run out of tickets? No problem. Purchase additional seats at any time at the Flex Pack rate. And that's not all. For every 10 Flex tickets purchased by July 31st, you'll get an additional ticket for free. For more information, visit MississaugaSteelheads.com or contact a Steelheads representative today at 905-502-7788.
Ontario's grains are farmed by families. Across the province, 28,000 farm families cover 6 million acres of farmland, proudly growing barley, corn, oats, soybeans, and wheat. Whether in our food, fuel, or furniture, every grain brings a natural and sustainable solution to our everyday lives. From the farmers in the fields to the wholesome food on your table, there's good in every grain.
If there's anything people hate more than lawyers, it's advertisements for lawyers, especially when they interrupt your music. By now, you've probably figured out you're right in the middle of one. For that, we at KPA Lawyers want to express our deepest sympathies. We'll make it up to you by ending this and helping you get back to your music. And don't even think about visiting us at kpalawyers.ca for a free consultation.
You're listening to News Talk Saga 960. Also streaming live on saga960am.ca.
Welcome back to Parents Canada Talk Radio on News Talk Saga 960 AM. So today we're doing something a little different, and we are talking to 2 moms. The first mom, her name is Ina, and she is pregnant with her 3rd child that is due, I believe she said at the end of September. So we had a pre-recorded call because Ina is still at work, and so I caught her on her lunch break. And she shares a little bit about her background, where she is, and she asks for some advice on how she can plan for parental leave.
And I want to welcome to the call Ina. Ina, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, did you want to, share a little bit about yourself and let us know who you are?
Sure. So as you mentioned, my name is Ina. I'm currently waiting for baby number 3. I work full-time and in a healthcare industry, but I'm a social worker by background. And I am looking forward to maybe picking your brain on a couple of different things. Because my last transition back to work after having my 2nd child was quite difficult, partially because my position was actually cut. And so I was in a situation where I was forced to find new employment. And in addition to this, I just felt quite isolated, had a very difficult time just managing everything. And so I really, on the one hand, sort of, postponed having another child, but I always knew I wanted 3. And so now that I've made the decision, I really want to ensure that I'm not in the same situation again.
Yeah. Okay. And so how far along are you? When is baby due?
Baby is due beginning of September.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's quite soon.
It's coming up. Yeah, it's the last trimester, which is always the tough one. Okay, so please dive in. I'd love to hear what some of those questions are.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a number of different things. I have some financial concerns because, like a lot of people who live in the GTA, we have a house with a mortgage, and so that's a big part of it. We didn't really sort of have any savings because of that situation. We've been trying to pull all our finances into mortgage. So one of the things that's happened, I do have also a child who's 16, so she's very close to, like, she's going into grade 12 in September, and she's close to going to university. So we don't really have much in way of helping any of our children financially for schooling. Yes, the 16-year-old is the biggest concern right now. I'm also concerned about pension, although I know that's on the mind of a lot of people, but in my particular situation, I do have a fairly good pension from work, so I'm not hugely concerned about that. But so the main concern is really getting more of a financial stability in a time when my income is going to be significantly cut. And at the same time, one of the things that I've been thinking about for a while is that I do find my work very, very demanding. And having 3 children is not going to help that. So one of the things I was thinking about is maybe using this time to get a bit more clarity around how I can use that. Maybe get more education or do something a little bit different and more creative to allow me to maybe not have to return full-time when I come back.
Okay. So let's first talk about the finances. While I'm not a financial planner, there are, finances is a big issue when it comes to planning for parental leave. And so is your plan to take 12 months or 18 months?
Yeah, I'm planning 12 months to the 18th, and it's really not a good option. At 12 months, the 12-month scheme for listeners, it's 55% of the income, and then at the 18-month scheme, it's 33% of your income, which can be tight for a lot of parents. So if you're planning for the 12 months, like you said, a lot of your money is going towards the mortgage, and so it's really hard to save. One of the things that you can do is take an audit of your finances. Really take a look at everything that's coming in and everything that's going out. And as you do that, start asking yourself, what are some trade-offs? What are some things that, we can pull back on right now? And then start talking to your partner about the costs that are going to come up. So not only how you're going to get 55% of your salary, but also what are those longer-term costs? So if you do go back to work full-time, it may look different at the end of your parental leave, because you said you are thinking about shifting. If you do go back full-time, what does that mean in terms of care, and what does that cost look like for you? So just start thinking about the longer-term costs, and then you also want to think about those short-term costs. I call them the startup baby costs. Now, how old did you say your second child was? He's 5.
5. Okay, so some of the gear, you may still have some of the gear left over that you can reuse, but then there will be things like baby suits that may be expired and you may need to get either new or used. So really look at what you can reuse, what you need to go out and buy, and so just kind of tally up and budget where your money is going to need to go. Another tip is to start living on that reduced salary now. So, you have 2-3 months left. If you can start living on that, pretend that you have only 55% of your salary and take that additional money and put it to the side and save it. That way that'll just be great practice in saving, but then should anything come up during your leave, you'll have a little bit of pot of money that you can access, and so that you're not so stressed in. Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's actually a great idea. I didn't think of that.
Okay, that's great. And then I just want to get to your second question about thinking of getting more clarity on where you can take your career. I think that parental leave is a perfect opportunity to really reflect and explore new options on where you can go. And I know that you said you're thinking about possibly education, and how else you can apply your skills in a more creative way. Did I catch that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So maybe that's part of the exploration is what are those options? What can I want to do? And before you get that part, what you may want to do is just take some time and ask yourself, what do I really love about my job? What do I really not like about my job? Because usually that, what we love can at least direct us towards something new. Because you don't want to try a new career and then you leave the things that you really did enjoy behind, because then you may not feel satisfied in the end. So really thinking about that, and then talking with people is always good. I call them investigative interviews, where you go on out and you speak to others in your career, or those who have a similar background to you that may be in a different position. You can even speak to professors at universities or wherever you may want to take additional courses and just kind of sit with them and say, this is my background. I'm thinking of going in this, in this direction. What do you see are some career options? And then if there's anyone at work that you look up to in any kind of way, that you can kind of sit down and kind of pick their brain as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Certainly try that. I think maybe the professors ones that's appealing.
Yeah, especially with 3 kids, a demanding job, that can be quite the transition, and may not be what you need at this point. It doesn't mean that you won't come back to it possibly at some point. But always exploring is always a good idea when you're down, when you're taking parental leave and your mind is focused on something else other than work.
Yeah.
Were there any other questions or things you're thinking about?
I guess maybe something that sounds like an afterthought, but it's not really, is one of the things that came with the territory of the last baby was a huge impact in terms of my health, and so I just really want to try to avoid that.
Yeah.
So, I guess I'm looking for tips on how to carve time for myself.
Yeah, that one's always tough. So I think one of the things, especially with a new baby, a lot of women, we set ourselves up for failure by saying, oh, I'm going to, start a whole new health regimen or exercise program right at a time when we're actually being demanded to focus our attention to something else. So for those first, especially the 6-12 weeks after postpartum, you're not going to want to do anything. But you can start doing things even today in your 3rd trimester that can just start to build healthier habits. So kind of going back to what I was talking about with the cost, like living on your reduced income, start those habits now. So it could be adding more steps in your day. Do you commute to work, or do you drive, or how do you get there?
I drive. It's not very far. I could walk it, but it would probably be an hour walk.
Oh, wow, yeah. Okay. You know how to do that. Then if there's other ways, like if you can, take a walk at lunch, or take a walk in the evening with your kids now that it's summer. Just finding little ways to add in those extra steps could be quite beneficial, because then that's something you can carry on even in those early postpartum days. You can go out with your new baby, in a carrier and just take a walk around the block and then come on back home. And then the other part, because exercise is one side, but then it's the healthy eating on the other. And one, I always find that it's a bit easy, is just for drinking more water in the day. So if you choose, juice or pop, switch it out with water just so that you increase your water intake in a day. And now is a perfect time, again, summer, great time to start eating more fruit instead of choosing, other sweets because I'm sure you guys have cravings of some sort. So trying to choose the fruits over anything else. Is that helpful as well?
No, I was saying that, yeah, certainly that's very helpful. I do try to drink more water for sure. But I think, the fruit is probably great, especially now that it's summer and there's so many fruits that are available.
Yeah, and vocal, and they're so tasty. So just finding ways to bring that into your life and just build up those habits. And those are the things that you're going to be able to continue later. I wouldn't at this point recommend you start anything kind of strenuous. I'm sure any doctor would disagree with that. I would agree with that, not disagree. And then when you feel ready, if it's more than just taking a walk around the block, then you can, start pushing yourself when you feel ready and you're healthy enough to do so.
Yeah. That sounds great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for your call, Ina. All right. Okay. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Good luck with everything. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you to Ina, and thanks, Lisa. I have an incredible level of admiration for you after watching you doing that real-time coaching. That's a pretty extraordinary thing. I'm a parent. I'm a parent who hasn't had that experience of parental leave. So it's almost like I've just discovered a new secret room in my house. So many things are swimming through my head. I'm sure we'll talk about it over the break, which is what we're going to do right now. We're going to go to the break. In the meantime, we want to hear from you. If you've got some insight, some thoughts, if you're going on parental leave, join us on social media at Parents Canada. You can check us out at parentscanada.com. In the meantime, enjoy this lovely break. You're listening to Parents Canada Talk Radio on News Talk Saga 960.
You're listening to News Talk Saga 960. Also streaming live on saga960am.ca.
Gavia HomeoCare has been a trusted provider of homeopathic care for over 20 years. Any age group from children to old aged, and from new diseases to the old ones like allergy, asthma, arthritis, hair loss, skin disorders, headache and migraine, male and female health issues, digestive disorders and piles, mental health issues, heart problems, or for any acute or chronic diseases. Call 647-760-2779 or visit GaviaHomeoCare.com for more information. Gavia HomeoCare. Healthy lifestyle starts here.
Hi everyone, Barry Davis here from The Spin. You can join me and Michelle Storino weekdays from 4 till 7 p.m. here on News Talk Saga 960, where of course we're going to talk some music and entertainment, physical and mental health. But when there's something big going on like the Toronto Raptors, let me tell you folks, we are all over it, with conversations from a number of people involved in the organization, past and present, including Jerome Williams, JYD.
After 24 years of being a franchise in the NBA, doing it on a away floor, hostile environment in Golden State.
Play-by-play voice, Matt Devlin.
It is surreal, and I don't know, a few people say that it takes a long time to sink in, and I think that that's probably the case for, the fan base, the players, and those that were just, along for the ride and a part of it.
Former head coach of the Raptors, Butch Carter.
What Kawhi has done for Toronto is special. He actually has gotten them over a hump that everyone was afraid they'd never get over.
Superfan, Nav Bhatia.
We should all continue and use the best game on the earth, basketball, to bring the world together.
Even legendary news anchor Peter Mansbridge is on board with what's happening in Raptorland.
This country's not just all about hockey, and basketball has come a long way in a short time.
If you love the Toronto Raptors, you'll love The Spin. Weekdays, 4 to 7, here on News Talk Saga 960.
Take your game to the next level at Sports Interaction. Get more lines on every sport online at Sports Interaction. It's your home for the latest odds and in-game prices. At home or on the go for action on every sport and every game, anywhere you want to play. Make the call with Sports Interaction. Sports Interaction, Canada's favorite online sports book. Brought to you by Mohawk Online in Canada. Players must be 19 or over. Play responsibly at Sports Interaction.
Hello, this is Nav Nanwa, and I'm super excited to be joining the Saga 960 AM family with my show New Theory Radio, which airs Sundays from 5 to 7 p.m. Join me each and every week as I welcome a different panel of guests to theorize on all things current affairs, pop culture, and everyday life. These guests will include artists, entrepreneurs, politicians, activists, and more. And you can always guarantee numerous hot takes. That's New Theory Radio, Sundays 5 to 7 p.m. on News Talk Saga 960.
New Theory Radio.
You're listening to News Talk Saga 960. Also streaming live on saga960am.ca.
Welcome back to Parents Canada Talk Radio. You're listening on Saga 960 AM. So we just finished that call with Ina, and now we're going to chat with Becca, who also is pregnant, but this is with her first child. And so she's planning maternity leave. She's a teacher, and she's planning on sharing her leave with her husband. And she has just a few questions on how she can have not only a successful mat leave, but a great return when she goes back to work. And so this, again, was a pre-recorded call because Becca was on her lunch hour as well. And so now why don't you take a listen and hear her questions.
Today, as we said earlier, we're doing a little something different. So we're going to have our second live coaching call. And this time, we're going to be speaking with Becca. Hi, Becca.
Hello.
Hi there. Can you tell us a little bit about you and where you are in your journey to parenthood?
So I live in Georgetown, Ontario, and my husband and I, we're expecting our first, and I'm at 37 weeks.
Congratulations. Oh, so do you know if it's boy or girl, or?
We do not.
That's amazing. That's love. Oh, that's amazing. That is just true love. So I would love to hear how, you're just about to be off on leave, which, and can you tell me what your profession is? What is?
I am a high school teacher.
Okay. Oh, so then that's great. You're going to have a little bit of extra time. That's great. And so one other question for you is, are you planning on taking the 12 months or the 18 months? What is your?
We are planning to do the 12 months.
Okay.
We crunched numbers. My husband's a number cruncher, and it just worked out better that way for us. So we're gonna do the 12 months, and he's gonna take some of it.
Oh, perfect. That is great, because then he gets the additional 5 weeks that is given to non-birth partners. So then you get to extend your time. That's amazing. Yeah. So I would love to hear, how can I help today?
So one of the things is, because I'm going to come back to teaching a little early, one of the biggest things that happens to teachers is a burnout, right? We are super stressed with all our kids and our marks and everything. So any advice on how to avoid a burnout between the kids that I have in my class and my child I have at home?
Yeah. And have you felt, I know this is going to be your first child, but have you burned out beforehand? Like, have you felt that where the pressure's been quite a bit?
Not to the point that I'm like bawling my face off.
Okay.
But I have been, super stressed out and hoping that I get everything done that I need to, sort of thing. And but also a little bit of compassion fatigue with the kids coming to me with their concerns and their worries and their issues and all that too. So
yeah, which can be tough, especially when you have a child at home demanding attention. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so in your body, when you were near that time in the past, did you feel any symptoms in your body? Like, did you get migraines or stomach aches or back pain? Were there any kind of clues?
No, not
Okay.
super physically. Mostly, like, I would just be exhausted when I got home.
Okay. And now you're not going to have the time to just nap it off or...
Exactly.
Right. So one of the things you can do, because burnout is essentially, it's that either the emotion or the part of your brain that is being taxed too much. So it's like working out any kind of muscle until the point where it does, as you said, fatigue. And so one way to help, I avoid burnout because, you usually get really close to it, and then there are ways to kind of avoid it. So you can just find ways to switch gears. And so it could be, it doesn't have to be sleeping, because sometimes that doesn't help for some people, or napping. But it's something to activate your brain in a new way, or activate your emotion in a new way. So if you're having to be constantly understanding for others, find a resource where you, be it your partner or be a friend, where sorry, kind of did a little funny cut. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. So Kelsey, if you could just cut that out. So you just want to activate your brain in a new way, and so that could be if you have a hobby of any kind, going back to that hobby, which is always tough with a newborn, and a toddler. But if your husband will be at home during that while you're back at work, that may be a good opportunity to take advantage of that time so that you can feed yourself. And then I say feed yourself not by food, but, feed yourself with a new stimuli. So it could be baking, it could be reading a book, it could be hanging out with your friends, anything, or even just taking a walk in nature. Sometimes just being alone in nature could also be very replenishing. So finding different ways. And, these are I really believe in the power of little. And these are things, if you can get in the habit of doing them regularly, so that it doesn't get to that point, so you're constantly giving your brain or your emotions a break, so that you're not getting too close to that edge where you are going to have that breakdown in whatever it looks like for you or feels like for you. And then one other thing, I know you said physically it doesn't feel like it, but our bodies do change after a baby. And so you are going to want to just also take close note of what is happening in your body. If you're feeling any kind of sensation or pain as you're getting stressed, intelligently you'll know that, I'm getting stressed. But then just start listening to your body, because then that can just be a clue further down the line, because unfortunately all of us, the burnout is like a cycle that it will come back. We might get over it, but then it comes back again. So just so that you know for next time. And, even taking a day off, that might also be good. One other thing that I always suggest, and it's both for burnout, but it's also for your relationship, is planning a date with your partner. You could be on a monthly basis or weekly basis, however you can do it. Where you can find someone, especially if you have family around or someone who can take care of your baby, just so you can get out. And it can be during the day, it can be at night, however you want to work it, whatever works for you, because sometimes that reconnecting with our partner can be just what we need, and it can just re-stimulate, refresh us as well.
Yeah, sounds good.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you're thinking about?
Going along the same line of the whole going back to work a little sooner than the whole year, what things can I do to make heading back as smooth as possible?
Yeah. There are a number of things you can do. Now, so I'm not a teacher myself, obviously, and I don't know a lot about that section, but does it change a lot? Do you find that, other than the politics behind it, does the day-to-day, does it kind of change from year to year?
It can, well, kind of, for me, as a high school teacher that still kind of newly permanent, they put me in, sometimes I end up in courses that I haven't quite taught before, or haven't taught enough of, but it shouldn't really be that way when I head back. It should be my normal courses that I've taught. So no, it didn't change too wildly. I can only maybe guess one course that I may see for the first time, but I doubt it. So
okay. So if there's any way for you to touch base with your principal or whomever does that scheduling, and that has kind of who will be managing where you are put, if you can have conversations with that person, just to understand where will you be going. That will, not only will you be able to then, if you wanted to, read up on anything or however else you want to prepare for that, but it also helps you prepare mentally and emotionally on where you'll be going. So a lot of times the stress that we feel when we, and at any point of transition is the unexpected, the uncertainty that comes with it, where we don't know. So finding out ahead of time and as far in advance as you can is great. I know that there's usually schedules, and so you may not find out before a certain point. So finding that out. You may also want, again, for that preparation of what you're heading back into, because it's not just the classroom, it's everything else. Check in with colleagues. Kind of keep in touch with them to see if there is a new principal or are there new teachers. Have the dynamics shifted in any way? Because anytime new folks come in or folks leave, there's always some kind of dynamic shift that could, and colleagues, I always call them, the best friends at work. They can provide us some insight so that we can prepare for what we're going back into.
Right.
Those are the two, really getting yourself ready mentally and emotionally to get back.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, one other thing that just popped into my mind, just for that return, is also to talk at home with your partner on, and you said that he's going to be taking some of the time, so you'll be heading back and he'll take on parenting full time?
Yeah.
Is that how it's going to work? Okay, so one of the things that because I think that's amazing, and that will help your transition at work a bit more smoothly, but taking time to do, I hate to say it, and I'm using air quotes as I say it, but a little bit of training. It's almost like any job when you have someone new coming in to take over the job, to talk through, okay, this is how we do things, or this is how the baby likes things, and just anything so that it's a bit smoother, so that you're not, because what we tend to do is when it's been our job for a while, we do it our way and we think our way is the only and right way. And then a new person comes in and does the job and they do it a bit differently. And, and we take it on and we're like, well, I just need to do it. So you want to prevent yourself from doing that because you want to, let your partner take on the full role. And so do some of that transitioning and training. Again, I don't like that word, but that's the only one I've got. That will allow them to kind of take on the role fully so that you can just be hands off and they can be the full dad, he can be the full dad he wants to be in tandem.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Becca. I really appreciate your call.
Lisa, I remember that when I had my first child, it's nothing but terror for those last couple, terror and advice, because everybody has something that they want to give you. So it's nice to be in the hands of a professional coach who can help you get there, and particularly when it comes to something that's becoming increasingly important, like parental leave. We're going to chat about this a little bit more, and we're going to come back and wrap up the show. In the meantime, we're going to head to a break. Join us on social media. We're at Parents Canada. We're on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Meanwhile, here we are, Parents Canada Talk Radio on News Talk, Saga 960.
You're listening to News Talk, Saga 960. Also streaming live on saga960am.ca. News Talk, Saga 960 asked a group of politicians if they would say something nice about Mark Petroni for this promo. Really, guys? That's all you got? Easy, big fella. Weekday mornings, 9 to 11.
I will always bust my tail to give you the straight goods.
Mark Petroni delivers.
I know their tricks. That's why you should check out this show.
When they screw up.
I mean, was he not listening to what she was saying? Did he not put two and two together and realize this woman was probably desperate?
He calls them out.
But no, it was too easy for him to make her the butt of a joke.
When they rip us off.
The carbon tax is only going to hurt. Energy costs are too high.
He rips them a new one.
Well, that's government bungling.
Terrific guests who know their stuff.
And unless the federal government gets their head out of their backside, this country is in big trouble.
The Mark Petroni radio program on News Talk, Saga 960.
We all play, laugh, learn. Yet some of us see the world in a different way. Autism Canada. See the spectrum differently.
Our first kiss. That day we got caught in the rain. The romantic way he proposed. The birth of our baby girl. The day he was diagnosed with lymphoma.
Cancer changes everything unless we change cancer. The Canadian Cancer Society continues to help families when they need it most.
I'll never forget hearing the words cancer-free.
Change depends on you. To donate or volunteer, visit cancer.ca.
The stresses of our daily lives and work routines take a toll on our reserves of positivity. Now you can replenish yourselves by listening to the talk show Positive Peel every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. Host Darshan Maharaja brings a variety of positive ideas to you from everyday Canadians doing a great work to help the needy in Peel region to great Canadians from the past who made significant contributions to make Canada what it is today. Tune in to Saga 960 AM every Saturday at 11 a.m. to catch these positive vibes on Positive Peel with Darshan Maharaja.
Every kid knows the power of a wish. That's why I'm here for Make-A-Wish, to help you find money you can donate. All dads have change in their pockets, and all you need to get it is a rope, an umbrella, and 3 friends in grade 8. He's like a piñata of money. If I can find ways to raise money to grant a kid's wish, you can too.
You're listening to News Talk, Saga 960. Also streaming live on saga960am.ca.
Welcome back to Parents Canada Talk Radio here on Saga 960. I'm Jason Thompson. I'm here with my co-host,
Lisa Durante.
Now, Lisa, you did a lot of heavy lifting today. I got to tell you, and I'm blown away. My head is swimming with all of these strategies. It makes me almost want to go and have another child just so I can experience the whole of parental leave.
Don't go and do that.
So, you talked to these two callers. You coached them through everything. I'd like to hear what was going on inside your head throughout this. What was it you took away?
For me, one of the things that I took away was, Ina talked about how in her second return from work after mat leave with her second child, she talked about the isolation she felt and that she was moved. She had lost her job during the mat leave and just how isolating that can feel. And that is just something that is so common that I hear from women, even those who go right back into the same role. They just feel this sense of isolation that they're the only ones that are struggling. They're the only ones that can't seem to have it all or get it all or whatever the quote is. And so I just want, that's just one message that I want to reinforce to any moms that are about to go on leave or thinking, planning on going back, that isolation is real. And that there are ways to kind of get around it, reaching out to people, asking for help. One tip that I always give to women who are feeling that sense of isolation is to reach out to someone in the office. Someone else has had a child and has come back. It's very unlikely that you are the first and only person in the company that has had a child. So reach out and talk to someone else just to get their opinions. Because the moment you open up a little bit, someone will definitely say, oh, this was my experience. And then you can bond, and then you know that you're not the only one.
I think that's really great advice. I'm curious to know how you came to this advice in the first place. I mean, you have to develop. This is a skill set that you can't take a university course for. So
Yeah.
where did you get that?
Well, a lot of it is just myself, the experience that I had and working with a lot of women. Even before I became a working parent consultant, I worked in an office. I was in a marketing group, and there were countless women in the group. It was a very large group, and we were all young, and so we were all having babies. And so I was one of the initial few that had the first babies. And then as the other women came up, they were all having them, and they were coming to me for advice. And so every time you hear something else from someone else, you kind of take away, and you're like, okay, what advice can I give her? What can I say to her to make her feel better? And it really just came from practice. And then I do a lot of research. I'm a journalist by trade, and research is my thing. And so I do that all the time.
It's one of the things I love about you. You always come in with all these, I saw this great article in the New Yorker, I saw this. So it really helps me out from a research perspective. So thanks for that. You said you get the firsthand experience of seeing this, and you get the opportunity to coach people fairly frequently doing this. What kind of trends are you seeing kind of on the rise with parental leave?
Well, one of the great ones, and Becca touched upon it, was that more dads are taking leave. And I think that is amazing. We need that. We keep talking about we want to close the gender gap at work, the pay gap, all of that. And the only way to do that is if we actually close the gap at home first. And that starts with dads taking time off. But aside from, any of the politics or any of that stuff, having dad take time off, it's an amazing bonding experience that will last a lifetime. My husband didn't take time off, but he makes sure that he spends a lot of time with our children. And the bond that they have is incredible. And I would not want other dads to lose out on that bond.
It's funny. The research shows fairly frequently that we think, we can catch up on that later. We can do this in the teen years. In fact, I know somebody who didn't take parental leave or didn't take very much, but she did when her kids turned 11, 12, 13, which was kind of interesting. But that first year, the research shows that first year so much, so many neurons are kind of and synapses are connecting with one another. It's so critical to be able to go out there. You mentioned your husband is spending time kind of connecting with the kids and this sort of stuff. Does he have a favorite way he likes to do? I'll tell you mine. I meet my kids at the bus almost every single day, which is great because I run my own business. I'm able to do that. But it is something that is truly special for me. I don't know if they see it in the day-to-day, but I know over the long term that they will.
Yeah. Well, it really started from when they were small, when they were babies, because I was the one at home. He didn't take time off. And so the moment he came home, I essentially handed our daughters over to him, and he would have the whole evening shift. He would do bath time was his thing. And just having that time to care for your child, to bathe them, to change them, and all of that. And there was a lot of playtime in between that. That is where I believe that bond started. And then it just, over the years, it's changed and morphed as the kids grew older. Like now he's at soccer every Tuesday. He makes sure that he will get home early, and he will coach them and do all of his stuff just so that he's with them.
When you talked about dads and the parental leave, I'm curious to know, is your advice any different to dads than it is to moms? Because I think the perception in the workplace is still different, even if you're a dad who takes time off.
Yeah, because dads, there's still a stigma, which is just so unfortunate. There's a huge stigma against dads in a lot of places. A lot of places are getting really progressive. I think in the teaching industry, it is much more progressive that dads can take the time, and it's great. But then there are in those more traditional industries like finance, insurance, that it's not okay. And men, while it's not overt, they have said that they felt something on their return. One gentleman I spoke with, he said that, he received, he kept hearing comments about how he was drinking in the garage, when he was off on leave. And he was like, I was taking care of my kid.
In my head, I'm thinking, wow, that's terrible. And then I'm thinking, but for generations, women have had to face that exact same kind of stigma.
Well, the stigma for women is if they return, because it's expected of, so social expectations expect us to be the ones at home. So when we aren't at home, it's like, well, who's taking care of your kid? Oh, your husband's babysitting your kid. So it is different. So you have to approach it differently because the stigmas are different.
Lisa, thank you so much for driving the car this week. This is great. I learned so much. We want you to learn a little bit more as well. And so drop by parentscanada.com. We actually have pulled a couple of articles here. One of them is called 6 Tips for Surviving Your Maternity Leave. One of them is about developing a support system, which we talked about just a couple of minutes ago. Another one's called When My Husband Took a Parental Leave, He Still Faced Questions. So really fits in kind of where we were talking about just a moment ago. And we heard the first caller talk about money and about really the reality of the issues you've got there. And there is another article at parentscanada.com called Money Matters During Maternity Leave. So we would encourage you, take this podcast, listen to some of it, or take a look at some of these other articles. They are really, really helpful. And that's really our mandate. That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
We want to give parents a good view of the real world of what they have to deal with. We're not trying to sugarcoat it. We're not trying to gloss it over. And I think that today was an excellent opportunity to be able to have an understanding of all of that. We want to thank everybody for joining us today. First of all, thanks to Lisa for being great today.
Amazing.
And thanks you for listening. We said get more great tips and insights at parentscanada.com. We're going to be back next week. We're going to have more questions, more insights into the real world of parenting. I'm Jason Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Durante.
And this is Parents Canada Talk Radio on News Talk, Saga 960.